Press 5 to open the browser. Make sure you're in DVD 101 database. Go to Scenes, Chapter 3, Textures, and drag and drop the texture projection. Press no, you don't want to save. Let's talk about textures, the texture projections, and how to apply them. In this case, we have a slide projector and a grid where we'll project an image. The projector object is just to help illustrate how texture projections work. It is not needed to actually make the projection. Be sure you switch to the render panel. Then select the grid, go to Texture, Image, and it asks if you want to modify the default material or create a local copy. Click Yes to create a local copy. If we click here, we can select another image from our drop-down list, or click New to get a new image. This is where we will concentrate, texture projection. A texture projection is how the image is applied to an object. In this case, it's projected to the object. The image comes out of the projector lens and is projected over the object. If we click on New, we get several options. We get UV, planar, XY, YZ, XZ, cylindrical, spherical, cubic, etc. To find out which projection to use, we can use our perspective windows to help guide us. In this case, here we have the green y-axis and the red x-axis. And we can see if our object has the same coordinates. Click on the object and click Translate. You can see we have the same matching green and red colors for our y and x. So in this case, we know we want the XY projection. If we click on New, we have three options: XY, YZ, and XZ. So let's choose XY. A green border will appear. This is called our texture support. And this is how our image is handled over an object. I'm going to turn to the textured view, and we can see the projected texture, which is applied correctly. If you go to Edit in the projection, we can select different types of projections. XZ, for example, in this case, or YZ. Here you can see texture support and how the image is applied to the object. It's taking an image and applying it through horizontally. Here, a green pixel is hitting the image and then spreading it through the projection. If we switch to XZ, it applies vertically. And here we have the texture support. So it applies it on top and projects it down onto the object. Let's go back to our correct XY. So if we close our window, how do we get back to the texture window support? Go to Explorer, select the object, frame it, open the tree here in Explorer, and here you can see the texture support. You can single click on the icon or double click on the name, and we go right back to our texture support window, and then we can change our projection. We could also modify our support, move it and place it in the exact position we want. We can scale it, or even rotate it. Move it here. It's our projection. It's very useful. We can move all our different parameters. We can really modify the way that our texture is projected. Alright. Next, select the grid. With the object selected, I can do a freeze of the model. And in this case, we have the texture projection, which is a planar XY, and we have the texture support. If I do a freeze M or a freeze, we will lose the texture support and the green border will disappear. And our projection converts into an explicit UVW. And now the best way to manipulate our projection is through the texture editor. Select the texture editor, and we have our texture projection. We can select the points with T and scale and move them around. Let's go back to our top view. And let's try again with a different type of object. This was applied to a grid. Let's get primitive, surface, sphere. And let's apply a texture. Texture, image, yes. Same image, new, and an XY. Now in theory we should be choosing a spherical projection, but I'm going to choose the XY to illustrate the difference. Let's maximize our view. And you see what's happening is the image is being projected. If we look at it in the center, the image is almost the same. We can see how the image is being spread throughout the object at the edges. And then, the back of the object is just a mirror of the front. I'm going to change to textured decal so we can see a bit more clearly. The backside is just a mirror image of the front. I'm going to change this projection to a spherical one. Now we could do a new spherical, and we'll get an entirely new projection. In this case, the image is projected correctly. As you can see, our model still has two projections. If we explore the sphere, we have support 1 and support 2. Right now, texture support is connected to the texture support 2. So we'll go ahead and delete the first support, or if I freeze, both supports will disappear. But first, I want to show you what we can do with the supports. We can select it and rotate, apply it in the position exactly that I want. We can rotate, like so. Yeah. And select the object and freeze. So now both supports are gone. And if we explore our clusters, we have two explicit projections. I could go ahead and delete one. If we press Alt-7, we'll call upon our texture editor. And we can see how the sphere is applied. We'll go over the texture editor a lot more later on. And for now, let's go through just one more example. Let's get a primitive polygon mesh and grab a cylinder. We'll scale it a little bit more. This could be applied, for example, as a leg from a character. Go to Texture, Image, click on Yes, and we also have the same options, and it's applied to XY. See how the image is mirrored in the front and the back. This could work to a texture and arm or leg. It projects in the front, it spreads a little on the sides, but it could work. And it's mirrored in the back. Alt-7 brings up the texture editor. We can edit our projection. We can scale it. And then, for example, if I only like the green area, or only this color area, we can move the text around and have them placed exactly where we need them. If we edit, we can change the projection, in this case to cylindrical. That's a bit off with our scale. So let's go one step backwards. Choose New, Cylindrical, and it creates a new projection. So our texture is reapplied. And we have a correct textured cylinder. I can select the support and rotate it to change the beginning and the end. If I want the red to come out on the front. Select the object, freeze, and there we have it. We have the texture applied. I can then go to the render tree. We don't have any clips. Go to Clip, New, from File. Navigate to the Picture Samples folder in your XSI program directory. And select a new clip. Let's grab the wood. Go to Clips, select the clip, click and drag on the blue connector, and connect it to the texture image. And now we have a new texture applied. Alt-7 gets us to the texture editor. Here I can replace, move, make adjustments. Or just reapply my textures exactly how I want. I could reproject the texture, go to the cylinder. Best Fit tries to guess the best projections. We could try it. If we don't want to, we could choose one of our other X, Y, X, Z, X, Y. And we have new projections. We have all the projections. Select our object, freeze. Now we have a nice clean object with our textures applied. Alright, let's talk about the relationship between image clips and image sources. Get a grid. And apply a texture. Then let's open up our Explorer. And by default, you'll see our scope is the scene. So let's change the scope to sources, clips. Here we can see we have the no icon pick by default, which is the one projected in our image, and our default material. And in clips, we have the no icon pick applied, This means when we load a new image, it becomes the source image. And then, when we apply an image to the object, it becomes a clip. Every time we apply an image source to an object, it becomes a clip. So we can have several clips, and each object will have an independent clip. This way our source image remains without any change. So now if we go to clip and get a source from file, click on this one. Now when we explore our source images, we have the two images, the no icon pic and the new image file. And in clips, I have only one clip applied. So let's open the render tree, select the grid, open the clips, and you will see we have only the no icon clip. So if we go image, new, from source, and select the image we had before, now it's ready to apply. Click on clips, and we can see our two clips available in the Explorer. One really neat thing with Softimage is we have a net viewer, which is an internet browser built right in. We can maximize horizontal, and let's just Google some images. Check some out, search around, click on an image, click on image full size, and then we can just drag and drop our image to an object. Be sure when you save the scene that you tell XSI to copy all external files. Right now, the images are still referenced to the internet cache. By copying the external files, XSI will save the files to your project folder. Also, we can drag an image sequence directly to the scene. Just drag and drop it anywhere in the scene, and they will become sources which we can use later as clips. So this is a source, and now it's a clip. We can use the Internet browser here, or use your standard Internet Explorer. That's a source, and that's a clip. If we want to apply a brick wall texture, just make sure you're all the way into the actual image, not just looking at the thumbnail. And once it's loaded, just drag and drop, and we've applied the texture as an image clip. And that's all there is to it.